The following is an article from the Phoenix New Times titled Marked Man by John Doherty, dated October 14, 1999. Felix Medina sat in the corner of a filthy room, inhaled another hit of crack cocaine, and kicked back, savoring his success. There were feces smeared on the wall and used condoms scattered across the floor of the dilapidated shack, but the then 23-year-old Medina basked in the decadent adulation during the fall of 1998. His harem of young women brought him food and drink, catering to his whims as he lulled in a crack stupor. Party rocked from dusk till dawn, day after day, week after week. Crackheads in one room, heroin junkies in another, and prostitutes throughout. Outside, Medina's homeboys stole money and dope from hapless addicts who came to make it by. The crackheads got robbed and beaten instead. Medina's homies would gladly knock a piece of rock and kick back a few bucks to their leader, Medina, whom they call Gato, as in Felix the Cat. Some of the tributes were out of respect. Others say it bought them some protection from Medina's infamous rage. Sex, money, drugs, weapons, power. Medina had it all as El Grande of one of Phoenix's oldest and most powerful criminal street gangs. East Side Los Cuatro Milpas, the Four Fields, which ruled the neighborhood southeast of Bank One Ballpark and north of Interstate 17. Medina attained kingpin status the old-fashioned way. He wrestled it with an iron fist, pummeling rivals into submission while mixing it up with a few cops on the way to the top. He first did prison time in 1992 when he was still a skinny 18-year-old kid. Prison was like going to a college for crime. Medina emerged from the joint in 1996, a feared fighting machine. At 6'2", 240 pounds, he was a head taller than most of the other Hispanic members of LCM. He's crazy, says a gang associate. Nobody will fuck with him. When trouble broke out in the hood, Medina took charge. One of my homies has a problem, like somebody will come tripping on him with a gun. That's where I come in, Medina told police in a videotaped interrogation. I walk up to the gun. I don't care. You guys are different because you guys will shoot me, he said. But a person like a gangster, a wannabe gangster, you can see it in their eyes. You can see it in Medina's dark brown eyes as well. They flash his innate intelligence, IQ 118, and suggest that if he were born into another neighborhood or a different family, he might have been a scholar. But karma landed him in the Milpas, a destitute community that is literally being rattled to the ground by aircraft from Sky Harbor International Airport. Medina and his homeboys control one of Phoenix's oldest neighborhoods through intimidation and force. They ripped off and shot at their own neighbors and painted LCM graffiti on beautiful neighborhood murals. Thug life. Medina is a poster boy for La Vida Loca, a path he seemed destined to lead. His grandfather and father were both LCM members and reportedly served prison time. His father was killed when Medina was 3, shot in the head during a family brawl. Medina's drug-addled, reckless leadership turned the Milpas upside down. Police allege he committed armed robberies and was involved in numerous assaults and at least one kidnapping while running a protection racket for drug peddling Mexican nationals. The action centered on the East Side LCM Party House at 1422 South 13th Place, where scores of drug addicts and gangsters hung out. Medina's strong-arm tactics became so volatile and outrageous, it split the once united gang into factions. When Gato came out of prison, he just ruined our whole neighborhood, says one Eastside LCM member. The Phoenix Police Gang Squad turned its focus on Medina and his homies and found they had plenty to work with, utilizing a tough anti-gang racketeering statute. See accompanying stories. Detectives stepped up patrols of the meat bus, scoured police reports, computer databases, and photos of gangbangers flashing gang signs. They also contacted victims of old crimes, steadily amassing a case against Medina and his core of LCM veteranos. In March, LCM's perpetual party came to a screeching halt. The gang squad dropped its net over the meat bus and arrested Medina and 3 other veteranos. A 4th LCM veterano wanted by police turned up dead in an alley, a bullet through his head. Medina's 3 co-defendants have all pleaded guilty to various assault and drug charges and participating in a criminal street gang. 2 face lengthy prison sentences and 1 is on probation. Medina, who faces 22 years in prison, isn't copping a plea. He's taking his case to trial next month and, according to one defense attorney, may be acquitted if his victims are intimidated and refuse to testify. End of story. Salute Big Gato. His family right there. They had already gotten arrested by the time I got out in March of '99. I just missed them and that whole fiasco, but according to what I know, even carnales were scared of them. Those carnales that were around at that time were scared of Gato and Baby Joe and the homies from the meat bus. That's not the homies, dog. That's not the hood. That's not where we're from. It's one thing when you're in prison and you got those kind of controls and the motherfuckers locked in the hot box and you can get anybody to do whatever you want them to do and smash on a fool. That's a whole different beast. But when you're on these streets, we all know you're running these streets and that's your gang. You still out here and you can still get it all the same. We all know and understand that. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, it was so crazy, dude. When I get out in 1999, I'm getting out to the fallout of all this. Because the Terry Stewart thing happens, all this stuff is happening. There's so much different stuff that's taking place at the time when I get out. It's phenomenal what I walk out to as far as, you know, crime, street crime and organized crime and, you know, all this other stuff, you know what I mean? Because I know people want to get into those stories and they want to hear more details, different stuff, and I have to remind people there's a message here, there's a meaning behind all of this, you know what I mean? This is just giving further insight into what was happening at the time in '99 when I get out. It doesn't speak to, you know, that's flashing forward from '90 and back. You know, that's just after I get out. Like we start getting out. Those of us, because Gato's got like a 9-2 or whatever number. I got a 9-0 number. So, you know, those of us with 9 numbers, and then the early 100,000, like 100,000, like coming within 92, 93 into DOC minors unit or DOC, because homies are like 16, 17, and 17, 18. You know what I mean? Like we all trail each other by a year or so. You know what I mean? And this is generation after generation, but um I don't. It's hard for me now, man. Like when I was mad, I could go off and talk shit about shit, but it's difficult for me to get into those stories like that. I'm reluctant. I want to, you know what I mean? I want to share with people those insights, but I question whether or not it's even important to the discussion. You know what I mean? Apart from the headlines themselves, and hopefully by putting these headlines and these things out there, that can further discussion on things. Because um, I last left Gato and Barchi, and I last heard out here he's doing really, really good. I mean, there was no question about it in there. You know what I mean? Like all the talks we ever had in there and everything. I knew he would be good. I knew that. I was already knowing, dog. Like he sorted it out for himself. Cause like you have to understand something in there. Like he didn't talk much. He was on the phone or at visits, or he sat at his cubicle. He'll go out there on the field and fuck around with some people, but very few people. I mean, he stand out, dude. He's 6'something. He stands out on the yard, and that's the last thing he wants. You know what I mean? Especially when he was always getting all that kind of attention in there. Because anybody that was in there with us knows that Gato was one of the dudes doing the most in there. You know what I'm saying? And but that's his nature, though, dog. Like since I know Gato since going back to childhood, shit. Gato's always been like that, man. Gato, Baby Joe, like those are homies that have always been like that, dog, from the meat bus. You know what I mean? And I got family there. You know what I mean? Like he's got kids with my cousin Maxine. You know what I mean? Like that's family and shit, bro. Like, and Maxine, that's the Cuates. That's Mateo Max's line right there. It's the Golden Gates. But I just wanted to flash back on that story and get some insights into that time. There's other articles from that time too. I'll give readings on, but in the meantime, just something to think about, something to flash back on at the time, and because this is when I get out March '99, and there's a whole another generation ready for it that I was in the era of, but I'm gonna end this one here now.